Radiant, where you will play against the top 500 players within your region, and Immortal, where you will play against the top 15,000 players within your region. Now, it's pretty much every Valorant player's goal to one day be able to compete within these ranks. The general content that you find on YouTube will help you, but how well can this generalized content really help? It's hard to rank up and improve when you don't have clear guidance on how to do so, or you may not even know what needs to be improved upon. This is why we would like to present to you our ProSense Valorant courses, and today we will be showing you our sensitivity course within our AIM series. Now, by the time that you are watching this video, our courses have been released. So if you like what you see in today's video, hit that join button to gain exclusive access to the rest of our premium courses. With no further ado, here's a sneak peek into our ProSense Valorant courses.
Hello and welcome, ProSense family, to the very first course in the AIM category, the Sensitivity course. Valorant, at its core, is a first-person shooter, which means even though you might know the best lineups for Viper, the best time to go for a flank, or when to take the teleporter on bind, ultimately, it comes down to your aim. If you can't hit the necessary flicks or track a dashing jet to win the round, there is no way that by just knowing your lineups, you'll get to Diamond and beyond. However, there is no point in grinding those mechanics if your sensitivity has issues. Hence, welcome to the Sensitivity course. In this course, you will learn why having a comfortable sensitivity is important, the benefits and differences between ARM and wrist players, the most popular grips to hold your mouse, and most importantly, what DPI is. You will also learn which values you should use and the best way to find your own sensitivity. Before we start, let's briefly talk about everything we are going to walk through after you understand and got your sensitivity set. We will talk about crosshair placement, which is by far the most important aspect in this category. Afterwards, we will talk about flicking and tracking to ensure we hit that dashing jet. Last but not least, we will talk about why you shouldn't always spray with a Vandal in our recoil control course. And to top it all off, we will show you how to create your very own personalized AIM training routine. All of these topics can only be covered and practiced if you have a comfortable sensitivity. Hence, it's important we talk about sensitivity first. Without a proper foundation, it's all cool and stuff to build a house, but sooner or later it'll collapse and you'll have to start all over again. So, now that we know why sensitivity is important, let's talk about ARM versus wrist aiming. There are two ways to use your arm when aiming. You either move it or you don't and just move your wrist. ARM aimers use their forearm to do the majority of the work when aiming. The advantage this brings is being able to have the most precision possible since you are in control through your forearm plus your wrist. Since these two are the bigger muscle groups, you are able to have a certain level of control over the movement of your mouse that you will not be able to have as a wrist aimer. Another advantage is that the range of sensitivities you'll be able to choose from is way bigger than you would have as a wrist aimer, as you're able to move greater distances. This is important to keep in mind when we work on your sensitivity later on in the video. Wrist aimers, as you may tell from the name, solely use their wrist to do the work. The advantage that wrist aimers have is being able to make speedier movements as opposed to arm aimers. You will be forced to have a faster sensitivity than arm aimers because of your smaller play space, which means in theory that you get to adjust your crosshair faster than an arm player. In practice, however, you'll find being a wrist player a lot harder to master. Nonetheless, once you do master it, you'll have the flicking advantage on any arm player out there. Of course, you can always be a mix of a wrist and arm player, but keep in mind the more you lean towards arm, the more control you have, and the more freedom and sensitivities, while being a wrist player means a bigger grind but a more rewarding flicky adventure. Now that we have discussed both ends of the spectrums, we highly recommend temporarily choosing a favorite for the next segment, as we highly recommend the grips yourself as we cover them. Whether you are an arm or wrist aimer, there are many different types of grips that will allow you to find the most optimal comfortability when holding your mouse. In this course, we will show you the 3 most popular grips of not only in Valorant, but of all FPS titles. The first grip that we will introduce to you is the palm grip, which is mainly popular amongst the arm aiming community. The palm grip is when you lay your hand directly on top of your mouse, causing your palm to fully cover the back of your mouse while your fingers completely cover the left and right mouse buttons on your mouse. This grip is the most popular by a mile, as it's basically the lazy grip. You can basically do this grip for the rest of your life without wearing out your fingers. This also means you will have less control over your mouse movements as opposed to the upcoming 2 other grips. The second grip that we will introduce to you is the claw grip, which is similar to the palm grip except you are using your fingertips and only the tip of your palm to control the movement of your mouse rather than your entire hand. This aiming grip is mainly popular amongst high sensitivity players, but nonetheless, it's also a good grip for low sensitivity players. If you're trying the grips as we speak, you might notice it feels awkward if your mouse is too small or in general because you aren't used to it yet. Don't let not being used to it be the deciding factor though, as getting used to it is very rewarding, as you'll be able to make faster movements than with the palm grip. Plus, making forward movements is really easy. The downside of this grip is that you'll have more difficulty controlling recoil as there is no wiggle room to pull your mouse down, just that tiny extra bit as you would with the palm grip. The final grip is the fingertip grip. With this grip, you'll be able to be the fastest of them all as your palm completely loses contact with the mouse. This requires a very high sensitivity, so this grip is really only for wrist players. It's also by far the hardest grip to master as it's hard to be accurate because of your higher sensitivity. But the trade-off is that you'll be able to hit flicks even faster than the claw grip. Plus, you're able to pull down the mouse to the back of your palm, which means making the motions to control your recoil is much easier than with the claw and the palm grip. If you haven't had the chance to pick an aiming and grip style yet, do it quickly as we are now approaching the moment you have all been waiting for, finding your actual sensitivity. Your sensitivity consists of 3 main components: your mouse DPI, your hipfire sensitivity, and lastly, your aim down sight sensitivity, also short for ADS sense. Your DPI applies to your hipfire sensitivity, and those 2 together apply to your ADS. So, to get your sensitivity right, we need to tackle all of the above subjects, starting with DPI. DPI refers to the number of dots that the mouse's sensor detects within an inch of space. So in non-Einstein terms, the higher you set your DPI value, the faster your cursor will move on your monitor, which means also how fast you move in-game. It's important to have a balanced DPI, which basically means a DPI that the majority of the industry uses, and what most mice come standard with. Some companies like to be special and deliver mouses with a standard DPI of 450 or 650, which is just an odd number, and might cause confusion in the future when changing DPI. So, to avoid this, try to stick only to the following values, as it's easier to make adjustments when needed. 400 DPI, which is mainly for ARM players, 800 for both ARM and wrist, and 1600 for the die-hard wrist players. 1600 is definitely pushing it though, so think twice about using it. The second component is your hipfire sensitivity. This is the determination of how fast or slow you are able to look around when you're not aiming down sights, which you will be doing 90% of the time, unless you're that one chamber player who solely mains chamber because he can't get rid of his habit to not ADS. You can calibrate this sense by just simply moving your mouse across your play space till you do a beautiful 180 when you travel from the left side of your play space to the most right side. But that's kind of an outdated way, plus you don't always want a 180 or 360 sensitivity. So, in order to help you find this value, we will be using the Perfect Sensitivity Approximation Method, otherwise known as the PSA Method, which might sound overly complicated, but once you get the hang of it, it's as easy as planting C on split, right? The PSA method is, in short, a method of trial and error and the power of math to get you your comfortable hipfire sensitivity. Get your calculator ready, because you're going to need it. First, we need to take a starting value. For a 400 DPI player, a good starting value would be 0.5. Next up, you need to generate a low value and a high value. You do this by multiplying the starting value by 0.5 and by 1.5. We now have 0.25 as the low value and 0.75 as the high. Try both of these in-game. Once you tried both, pick one that feels better. If it's the 0.25, you take that one. Be careful though, don't just try the same formula with 0.25. We first need to add together your new value with your starting value and divide it by 2. So that would, in this scenario, be 0.375. This is our new middle value, which means we repeat the 2 steps we just did again. The low value would be roughly 0.19 and the high 0.56. Try them both and choose once again the one you like more. Add them up together and divide it by 2 and do it over and over again till you find your comfortable sensitivity. This might take 2 steps or 5 steps, but in the end, you'll be guaranteed to find your perfect sensitivity. If math wasn't your favorite subject at high school, don't worry. There are plenty of calculators out there that calculate it all for you. Hey, at least you know how they work now. And to finalize your sensitivity, we will talk about your ADS sensitivity, which determines how fast you are able to look around while being scoped in. In order to keep your ADS sensitivity consistent with your Hipfire sensitivity, we recommend leaving this value to 1. The last thing you want is missing your flick because your muscle memory only knows your Hipfire sensitivity. And no, we haven't forgot to mention it, but yes, please turn off mouse acceleration in your Windows menu. Voila! You have now found your personal perfect sensitivity. We know that we threw a lot of information your way within this course, so let's recap everything you've learned to make sure that you have fully understood everything we taught you. So, what did we learn? We learned that having a comfortable sensitivity is important, as everything else you learn in our course, and in general when playing Valorant, requires you to be confident in your sensitivity. Changing your sensitivity will result in your muscle memory completely losing track of what it should do, which will result in you dropping ranks really quickly. And most importantly, annoyance and demotivation to grind. Having tough games is not the fault of your sensitivity. There are so many more aspects that come into play deciding if you'll win or not, so don't blame some numbers on your performance. We also learned that there is no right or wrong grip or aiming technique. You're either an arm player if you like to have more control, or a wrist player if you want to push the skill ceiling even higher with your speedier movements. Grips are also up to your own preferences. The palm grip is the most used grip, as you just lay your hand with its entirety on your mouse, which means you'll never wear your arm out, but you won't have the advantage that the claw grip has, where you have more freedom to move your mouse with your hand, as you only touch the mouse with the tip of your fingers and the back of your palm. The final grip we covered is the fingertip grip, where you only touch your mouse with the tip of your fingers, which has most of the advantages the claw grip has, aside from the fact you're able to pull down the mouse easier as you don't have the back of your palm glued to your mouse. The final subject we covered is how to calibrate your sensitivity. The 3 main components that make up your sense is your mouse DPI, which we recommend to either be 400, 800, or 1600 if you're an absolute mad lad. Your ADS sensitivity is the second component, which we highly recommend should always be 1 to remain consistent with your muscle memory. And lastly, your Hipfire sensitivity, which you'll find by the power of math that you all so much loved in school, right? Here's the formula once more. So, 400 DPI means you start with a base value of 0.5, 800 DPI a base value of 0.25, and if you choose to take the 1600 DPI, you start with 0.13. Then, just follow the steps on your screen, and you're good to go. That's it for the sensitivity course. We hope you guys enjoyed, and we hope to see you again in the next course in the AIM category, Crosshair Placement. Take care now.
So, what'd you guys think? I hope you guys found the course to be incredibly helpful and valuable. Also, hope you like the voice actor behind the voices, which is Angel of Battle. He's only ever been in one other YouTube video, and we're looking to bring him into more YouTube videos. But guys, seriously, in terms of our Valorant courses, we don't only have an AIM series, but we also release other series dedicated towards movement, playing around your teammates, and more. We plan on covering advanced topics that aren't normally covered on YouTube within our courses for the higher level players that are in Immortal and Radiant that just don't really get the true value out of the normal videos that are offered on YouTube for the lower ranked players. And we are coming to a close in today's video, guys, but you can expect new courses and categories to be released every 2 weeks. So all I can say is, so that way you guys can rank up as fast as possible, hit that join button. It's been your boy Sando, and I'm out, guys. I love you. Thank you for the support.